Welcome. We are on the legendary battlefield of Kurukshetra. Two massive armies, the Pandavas and the Kauravas, are staring each other down. They're cousins, now sworn enemies, and they're about to kick off a war of epic proportions. But what's fascinating is that the very first blow, the one that really sets the tone, isn't an arrow or a sword. That's right. The first strike was a sound so powerful that it completely broke the spirit of an entire army before a single soldier moved. So how on earth is that possible? Well, let's dive in and find out.
To really get what's going on here, we're going to turn to the Bhagavad Gita itself. We're looking at chapter 1, verse 19, to see what the text has to say about this incredible psychological weapon. Okay, here is the verse in the original Sanskrit. Just listen to the power in the words themselves. Sagosho dartarashtranam hridayani vyadaryat. Nabascha prithivim cheva tumalo abhyanunadayan. You can almost feel the vibration in the language, can't you?
And the English translation is just as intense. The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. Now that phrase, shattered the hearts, that's not just poetry. This is describing a complete and total collapse of morale.
So why was this sound so devastating? I mean, the Kauravas had blown their conches earlier, but it didn't have this kind of effect on the Pandavas. The difference wasn't about who was loudest. It was about the conviction behind the sound. The Pandavas had absolute, unshakable faith in Lord Krishna, who was right there with them. And that faith, it became a tangible force, something their enemies could literally feel breaking their spirit. So, while the Kauravas are already reeling from this psychological blow, the stage is set for the Pandavas' greatest warrior, Arjuna, to make his move. The very next verse shows us exactly how he steps up in this critical moment. And here we have verse 20. Listen to the flow of this one. Atha vyavasthitan drishtva dhartarashtran kabidhvaja pravritte shastra sampate dhanur udyamya pandava rishikesham tada vakyam idam aha mahipate. There's such a powerful narrative rhythm in these verses. Now, as we look at the translation, there's one detail here you have to catch. The flag marked with Hanuman. This is so much more than just a random piece of battlefield decoration. It's a huge symbol, and it tells us pretty much everything we need to know about how this war is going to end. Let's zero in on that specific Sanskrit term, kapidhvaja. It translates directly to he whose flag was marked with Hanuman. It refers specifically to Arjuna's banner, and believe me, that emblem is a very, very powerful omen. So, what's the big deal about this flag? Well, everything. See, Hanuman's emblem is a sign of guaranteed victory. He was the one who helped Lord Rama in his epic battle against Ravana. And here's the kicker. The text tells us that Lord Krishna is none other than Lord Rama himself. So what you have on Arjuna's chariot is the combined, unbeatable power of the Supreme Lord and his greatest devotee. His victory is practically a done deal. All right, so when we put these two verses together, the picture becomes crystal clear. On one side, you have an army that's completely falling apart psychologically, and on the other, you have a hero who is literally surrounded by divine signs of victory. The text is basically telling us that the battle was decided before it even began. I mean, just look at the contrast. The Kauravas are disheartened, their hearts shattered just by a sound. And then you have the Pandavas, who are filled with confidence, not just because they're brave, but because they have faith and are being guided by these incredible divine signs. It's a night and day difference. Think about all the things Arjuna has going for him. He has Krishna himself, the Lord of all senses, acting as his personal guide. He's got all the best counsel right there. He has the symbolic presence of Hanuman on his flag, which guarantees success. And where they are, the goddess of fortune is too. All of this together creates what the text calls the signs of assured victory. So here's the bottom line. The big takeaway from these two verses is this. Before a single arrow was fired, the war was already over on a spiritual and psychological level. The faith of the Pandavas and the divine forces backing them had already sealed the deal. Which of course leaves us with a really deep and fascinating question to think about. If the victory was already a foregone conclusion, if it was spiritually guaranteed, then why did the horrible, devastating physical battles still have to happen? What was its purpose? That's a question worth keeping in mind as the rest of the Gita unfolds.